Hi, beautiful souls. So I was going to do a tarot reading for this video, but then I was getting more of the clairvoyant, intuitive kind of guidance. So we'll see if we need these cards. And I'm just going to share what I was receiving right now for the collective. So I feel like there is a sense of hesitation right now in some of you. And this hesitation to me feels very much of the mental realm. It's like you are being drawn to look at something or a situation for what it is, but you feel this desire to be really positive instead and only focus on the positive. Like there's a hesitancy to focus on things from a realistic perspective instead of from a more positive mindset. And if you've been in the spiritual community for at least a few years, and of course if you have been in it longer, then this applies to you as well, but at least for a few years, then you may have heard a term called spiritual bypassing. And often when we hear this term, we think about it from an external perspective of when somebody else is spiritually bypassing us or spiritually bypassing another person. And if you're not really familiar with that term, essentially what it means is, I'm sure there's many meanings to it, but the meaning that wants to come through right now is when somebody is going through a difficult time and they're sharing that with another person, and the spiritual bypassing happens when that listener says, "Oh, well, you just need to be positive and think positively so your situation will change," or, "Oh, well, you probably brought this upon yourself," or they might say something like, "Well, yeah, that sucks, but it's probably for the best. There's probably something that you're going to get out of this, and you just don't see it yet." And all of that is good advice, but often is at the expense of the other person who's trying to express themselves. It's at the expense of them being heard, and it stunts the healing process because now their feelings and their intuition is being invalidated by external forces. And yeah. And, when we work in the spiritual realm, yeah, we want things to be better, and yeah, things can get better, but things aren't always going to be perfect because we still live in the physical realm. But what wants to come through today is not about that external focus of spiritual bypassing, but rather the internal focus, because we often think about it in terms of what other people are doing to others, and we forget about the part where as within, so without, and as without, so within, where we spiritually bypass ourselves. And I feel like that might be what's going on here is you're trying to be really positive about something, and in doing that, you are not allowing your intuition, your thoughts, and your truth to really surface. You're kind of pushing it down before it really has a chance to be conscious to you. And this is not to say that you need to make any decisions right now like, "Oh, obviously my feelings and my intuition are correct. I need to stop bypassing myself and I need to get out of the situation immediately." I'm not saying this for you to make any particular decision in any direction, but rather for you to just be aware of what is going on within yourself and what that resistance or that inner turmoil or that inner angst that you may be feeling, or maybe you're feeling it and you don't even know you're feeling it, but however it's showing up or not showing up, what that internal angst is trying to bring to your awareness. So really the guidance here is to tune into yourself, sit with yourself, clear your mind, clear your thoughts, and allow any kinds of thoughts that want to surface around this topic to surface. And if it's a positive thought, then awesome. Good. Honor it. If it's a negative thought, don't shun it. Allow it to make itself clear to you and simply have a conversation with yourself around that thought. Okay, I'm noticing these things. Okay, great. Good that I'm noticing them. Is there something that I should be doing? Is there something about these thoughts that I need to be aware of? Do I need to look at them from a different perspective? Just allow yourself to converse with whatever the thoughts are and explore them. Explore is kind of the key word here. And that's it. Just allow it to be what it's going to be. And you will either get insight, deeper wisdom while you're sitting with those thoughts and meditating, or you'll get them at a later point in time. And it doesn't really matter when whether it's in that moment or whether it's the next day or a few hours later. Usually it'll happen within 3 days, so it's not like you're waiting months and months for an answer. It's usually going to happen within a few days. But whether it's immediate or within a few days doesn't really matter. Allow it to come when it's going to come, and that's really pretty much the guidance that wants to come through. So let's go ahead and just see what these cards are, because maybe there is some additional guidance here. Oh, okay, nice. So yeah, I do think that there needs to be more clarity here with the Page of Swords, that definitely don't spiritually bypass yourself. We do that enough to each other and enough to ourselves. Don't continue and perpetuate that. It's not really serving you. When we do that, we don't really allow ourselves to really see what wants to be heard within ourselves, what wants to come through. And so we never really get to grow. We just stay stagnant. It's good to be positive. It's good to focus on where we want to go and not necessarily where we are, but we have to understand where we are first to know where we want to grow out of. So knowing where you are is an important part of moving on, and it's an important part of being positive, because how can you know what to be positive about, what thoughts you need to shift, if you don't even know what your thoughts are, if you're suppressing them constantly? And the Eight of Wands tells me that, whatever the answer is or whatever news you're waiting on is going to come in very quickly. Now, quickly is a relative term. For me, I'm feeling 2 weeks. So it could be 3 weeks, but I'm feeling like 2 weeks. And I feel like whatever that news is, it's going to be positive. And if there's something that's going to materialize from it, so not just news, but maybe an action you need to take or something that you're going to receive, you will get that in 5 weeks. So that's good. And it does seem like it's going to be positive because we have the Sun card. So with the Sun card, again, allow whatever wants to come to light to come to light. Don't bury it. Don't let it stay in the subconscious. Allow it to surface so that change can actually happen. And so your life can actually improve and get better. And so you can have the clarity that ultimately you're looking for, because the angst that we feel often comes not from a decision, but rather the indecision or the lack of clarity or uncertainty. That's what really bothers us. When we know what decision we need to make, when we have all the pieces and the clarity, yeah, we might not want to make the decision. We might not like the decision. We may not feel like we want to do it in that moment, but we do know what it is. And in knowing what that decision is that we need to make, I mean, it's a game changer. All that stress just pretty much goes away. And then the only stress is about when and how am I going to actually say it or do it. But even that stress becomes significantly minuscule once we know what the decision is to begin with. So I'm going to leave it here. And if you guys would like to get a personal reading from me, you can always do so by finding me in my Etsy shop at actually let's go with this link, PsychicTS.etsy.com. You can find the link in the description box below. And I will catch you in the next one.